Okay, we are so excited to see everybody here tonight, and people just keep on coming in. Welcome to the Wadsworth Auditorium. My name is Candace Boothby. I'm the president and CEO of the Newnan-Coweta Chamber of Commerce. How many of you are excited to be here? So this is our third candidate forum, our final candidate forum. You're here to see the 3rd Congressional District candidates. If that's not who you thought you were going to see, then you need to leave. We're in for a treat. We have, I believe, 9 candidates total. We're going to start out with our Democratic candidates, and then we're going to feature our Republican candidates. And Marvin McCoy, who I believe is standing behind me, will be our moderator for the first forum, and then Dean Jackson will be our moderator for the second. Marvin works for the Cancer Treatment Centers of America Hospital, and Dean Jackson is the Public Information Officer for the Coweta County School System. So thank you for coming. Just so you know, this is being filmed over there by Keith Brazzi, and this will be shown on the local Newlink station in a couple of days, but we will also be emailing the link out to all of our chamber members and to other groups in the community and asking them to forward it as well. So if you would like to be a part of that group and you're not a chamber member but you want to receive that, then please see one of these 2 lovely ladies at the table at the front that are doing the timing, and they will get you all squared away. I think that's it. I'm going to let Marvin come give you the rules of the game, and you guys have a great time. And again, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Candace. All right, thank y'all. Welcome. All right, the 3rd District stretches across Carroll, Coweta, parts of Fayette, Spalding, Henry counties in the north, to Upson, Meriwether, Harris counties, and to parts of Columbus and Muskogee in the south. The district includes Heard, Troup, Pike, Lamar, and parts of adjoining counties. It covers roughly 700,000 Georgians. Tonight we're going to be doing the Democratic primary forum first, and we'll have Reverend Tamaris Cook from Newnan and Angela Penley of Grantville come up in just a moment, but let me go through a few rules and regulations first. Both primaries will be decided by voters on Tuesday, May 24th, 2016. The winner of these 2 primaries will face each other in the 2016 general election in November. Tonight's forum is intended to give the voters an opportunity to hear the views of these candidates on issues faced by the 3rd District citizens and their legislative representatives. We thank our candidates for being here tonight. We thank them for standing for public office. We thank you for being in our audience and joining us in the Wadsworth Hall. We're going to begin this evening. Tamaris and Angela, if you would join me on the stage. All right. Our forum will be similar to the Chamber of Commerce's forums that we have every year. Each candidate will be allowed a 2-minute opening and closing statement. Our candidates will have up to 1 minute to respond to a series of questions. After the final candidate has given his answer to a question, a 30-second rebuttal will be allowed if the candidate elects. Our candidates will be signaled by a red card when you have about 10 seconds left, and then they'll hold it all the way up when your time has run out so that you can finish your sentences. One final note, the Newnan-Coweta Chamber of Commerce is a nonpartisan organization. It does not endorse candidates for office. The questions have been submitted by chamber members and apply equally to all candidates. We ask that our guests at tonight's forum also respect that neutrality and the dignity of this occasion in general by refraining from any demonstration for or against any candidate. We ask that you hold your applause or show any support or opposition during our forum, even for issues that you feel very strongly about. Our occasion tonight is meant to give these candidates a chance to speak for themselves as they seek election to these posts. We appreciate our audience respect for their opportunity not to be interrupted. So with that, we're going to begin tonight's forum with a 2-minute opening statement, and we'll start with Tamarcus.
Good evening on tonight to everyone, and thank you to the Chamber of Newnan for this wonderful opportunity to talk about the 3rd Congressional District. Thank you to each of you tonight for your time. I am humbled that you would find tonight necessary to be here. What makes this moment special is that at this moment, it all collides. Sitting on this stage tonight is a product of you, the city of Newnan, Coweta County. I'm a product of the Coweta County school system because you educated me from my Andy Denny days at Elm Street Elementary School to Dr. David Gregory, to my school days with Kirk Stallings as my principal at Central Middle School before going to East Coweta, all the way up into Newnan High School, where I participated at Central Education Center, and tonight have made history as the first to graduate from Central Education Program to run for U.S. office. And so I'm thankful tonight that our paths have crossed to allow this moment to be possible. One thing that makes tonight very special is that tonight we are present because there is need amongst us. There is need amongst us in Washington, D.C. We see gridlock. We see politicians who have suited the needs of others. And now it is time for us to send someone to D.C. who is concerned with the people of this community. There are many people that would tell you on tonight that I am not the most qualified, that I am not the most able. And to them, I would have you say that biblical antiquity from Genesis to Revelation is proof that God does not call the qualified, but God qualifies whom he calls. And tonight, 3rd District, I am here to ask you to vote for and elect whom God has called so that we can try to make a difference in the 3rd Congressional District. Thank you.
Thank you, Tamarcus. Angela, your opening statement, please.
Well, I am a graduate of Fayette County High School, and while I was taking some studies at Fayette County High, I was taking a government class, but my government teacher told the students not to call the class government, to call it political science. And he required us to attend several of the government meetings and write reports on them. And it turned out that my elementary school librarian was the head of the Historical Society, and she asked me during one of the meetings what I wanted to do when I grew up, and I told her I wanted to go into the healthcare field. And so I've had 20 years of experience working as an independent contractor in the healthcare field. And but back to the Historical Society, Miss Neal was friends with Lynn Westmoreland, and I actually happened to meet him the first time he ever ran for office. And he probably doesn't remember me because I was nothing but knees and elbows. But he told me something honest when I met him, and I'd voted for him ever since as an independent. I chose to be a Democrat in this election after feeling the call to run for the United States House of Representatives after seeing his face in the paper saying that he was retiring. My family and I have lived in Coweta County, and we live a modest life. Recently, we've had some statements in the news about freedom of religion, and it is already stated in our Georgia state constitution that people may worship God according to the dictates of their own conscience.
All right, thank you, Angela. All right, Angela, the first question is going to come to you. As you have campaigned across the 3rd District, Describe what you have observed as the state of our economy in the 3rd District, and what would be your economic priorities?
I believe we've had a lot of growth here. We've had a hospital to shut down, but a new one to open. I think the problem is transportation, being able to get to businesses. So in order to remedy that, we need to fix our roads, expand them.
All right, thank you. DeMarcus?
Well, in my opinion, as a member of the Newnan Development Authority, as a board member on that board, I've seen firsthand and been a part of the growth here in the city of Newnan. But one of the things that I've observed in my conversations across the 3rd District is that the economic progress in this community is not enough. When I sit down with senior citizens in Franklin, Georgia, who are in tears because they've had to choose between medicine and food this week, our economy has not grown enough. And I don't care what hospital comes to town. I don't care what business comes to town. When there are children who see the University of West Georgia in our community, and they will drive by that institution every day or ride by it and never have enough money to attend that institution, we have not had enough economic success.
All right. Angela, would you like a follow-up? Okay. All right, the next question will go to Marcus. Education is one of the most important factors in determining the future of our children. What measures would you favor to improve education, whether pre-K, high school, technical school, college, and affect the graduation rates?
I think the city of Newnan is on it. One of the things that I have lived by, which is a sad reality in our nation, is that access and inheritance outdo hard work and education every day of the week. It is not enough to educate our children. We must provide them with access. Mark Whitlock and the people at CEC are getting ready to package something that the country has not seen, where children will go to school in high school. They will go to their base school in the morning, and then their last 2 blocks, they will go to Bunnell, Yamaha, Cancer Treatment Center, the bottling company Niagara, and they will not only work and get class hours and college credits, but they will get a certificate of completion. They will earn money while going to school, and when they finish school, because all of our children are not college material, they will have a career waiting on them.
All right, thank you. Angela?
I think that we need to expand that program. It has been in place for a while. The Continuing Education Center has provided classes where high school students may earn a college degree or some sort of technical degree while they are in high school. What I would like to see are the amount of students per classroom smaller, because I've actually been in them as a substitute teacher. It's hard to maintain behavior issues in the classroom when you have large amounts of students in the class. I think that it would be nice if we could have a couple more schools built here in the county so we could accommodate our students.
All right. Marcus, do you?
As a member of the Coweta County Community Advisory Board appointed by our superintendent, Steve Barker, one of the things I'm very familiar with is this model that we're talking about. This model is based off of a German apprenticeship model. Over in Germany, they've been using this model to educate their children and train their workforce for years. So this is the first time. It's not been implemented yet. It will be implemented in one of the coming school years. I cannot remember if it is this upcoming August or if it is next fall, but we're very excited to be at the forefront. And wouldn't it mean a lot to the city of Newnan and the 3rd Congressional District if you sent someone to D.C. who is familiar with that process that can put and keep our community at the forefront of education for this entire nation?
Angela, what you could. Okay. All right, next question will be to you, Angela. The Affordable Care Act has changed the healthcare landscape. How do you see the Affordable Care Act and its implications?
I believe that the Affordable Care Act has done a lot of good. It has helped a lot of people. Before 2010, before Obama had signed the Affordable Care Act into law, young people in their 20s were not allowed to be on their parents' health insurance. So now they are. People with pre-existing conditions were dropped or not allowed to have health insurance, or they were seen as a high risk, so insurance companies would not take them. Or if they were taken, then everyone in their pool's insurance was increased. Being a woman was considered a pre-existing condition, and insurance companies would charge a higher premium. That is no longer the case thanks to the Affordable Care Act. I would like to see our state expand Medicaid and Medicare to help the poor and the elderly. So, like Tamarcus said, they would not have to choose between buying a pill or buying food.
All right, Tamarcus?
As it relates to the Affordable Health Care Act, you've got two extremes going on. You've got the Republican Party saying, completely get rid of it. You've got the Democratic Party saying, completely keep it. That is not good for anyone. That is not the kind of progress the American people deserve from their politicians. I, unlike those who are in D.C. now, I am not going to Washington, D.C. to put my stake in the ground, or a Democratic stake in the ground, or a Republican stake in the ground. I desire to go to Washington, D.C. to find common ground. It is a problem with the Affordable Health Care Act. It is not perfect. There are many problems with it. Yes, good things have come from it when people who before could not receive treatment. But when 25-year-olds, like the young lady who's helping me on my campaign, Jessica, apply for the Affordable Health Care Act, and when they've realized that Don't Die insurance costs us $500 a month, the Affordable Health Care Act is still broken because it's not affordable.
Angela, would you care to follow up?
States were allowed federal funding to support an expansion for Medicaid and Medicare, which would help this young lady. She could apply for Medicaid if she could not afford any insurance offered in the marketplace. The Affordable Care Act is made to be plastic. It's malleable. It can be improved upon.
All right, DeMarcus?
Last thing on that is the Affordable Health Care Act needs to be made affordable. If we can achieve that, we've got some progress.
All right. All right, the availability of water and a strong transportation system are key to the continued economic growth of Atlanta and the state. Where would you put your emphasis on infrastructure projects? DeMarcus, begin with you.
Just recently here in January, my church sent a cry out to the call of this community as a result of what we saw in Flint, Michigan. What we saw happen in Flint, Michigan was that residents received poisonous water in their pipes as a result of failed government. And what happened in Flint can very easily happen in Newnan and these other rural communities within our district when we don't have people who are concerned with the human quality of life, working in divisions of government that provide life-changing, life-creating, life-sustaining resources to our citizens. When it relates to water and healthcare and infrastructure, those are not areas of government where we can put dollars over life.
All right, Angela.
Grantville had a water treatment center to purify water that was reclaimed. It was a project that was supposed to happen but had not happened. I don't know why. It was just stopped and nothing else was heard about it. I think that that would help provide clean water to our community.
Marcus, you want to follow up? All right. Recent events have highlighted equality and civil rights issues and how businesses can have an impact on those issues. What efforts would you support in regard to those issues? Angela, if you would begin.
Would you repeat the question?
Recent events have highlighted equality and civil rights issues and the impact that business can have on those issues. What efforts would you support in regard to those issues? All right, to Marcus.
I think moments like tonight are examples of what we need to invest in as it relates to the business world. The Chamber of Commerce in Coweta County has bridged more gaps between the business community and the community at large than any other organization in this city. We don't like each other often when we don't know each other. It is hard to discriminate against someone that you know, like, love, and respect. Those are things that go beyond racial lines and socioeconomic lines. Simply knowing each other, interacting with each other, doing business with each other, referring business to each other. Those are things that remind business owners that we are in business to do business, and anything that is not business has no business in business.
All right, Angela, you want to follow up?
I was recently asked if I thought that it would be a good idea to expand federal laws to include people of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender community. I believe that some of the federal laws do expand to encompass them under the generalization of sexual orientation. But I don't think that anyone deserves to be discriminated against for any reason. Nobody deserves to be bullied.
All right, there's been a lot of discussion about minimum wage lately and its impact on business. What would be your position on the minimum wage and how it affects both employee and business owner? To Marcus, if you would.
That's such a sensitive conversation to have. This is my stance as it relates to minimum wage. I think we certainly need to raise the minimum wage. However, we need to take the same energy we are willing to empower the federal government to tell business owners what to do and what to pay their employees. We need to take that same energy and enthusiasm and force the federal government to empower the workforce to earn more money. Because I guarantee you, businesses like the ones on the Court Square in Newnan, Golden's on the Square, Morgan's Jewelers, Meet and Greet, these people will not have to be told to pay their employees more if their employees are adding value. And employees can't add value when they have institutions like the University of West Georgia on their route to school that they will never be able to afford to attend. Don't let the federal government manipulate you and pass the buck to business owners. They are obligated to educate us.
All right, Angela.
Would you repeat the question, please?
There's been a lot of discussion about the minimum wage lately and its impact on business. What is your position on the minimum wage issue and how it affects both the employee and the business owner?
Minimum wage is not enough to live on, but employers are probably hard-pressed to pay a lot more than minimum wage. Increasing the amount that wage earners make per hour would stress business owners. But, as a friend of mine recently said, good help is hard to find. If you find good help, you want to provide them with incentive to stay, so you would provide them with an increase in pay.
Marcus.
The last thing I want to say there, this is a sensitive conversation to have, because when you talk about raising the minimum wage, you're not just affecting companies like Walmart and these large conglomerates, if you will. You're talking about mom and pops who you've got store owners who are barely making enough money to make ends meet to keep the lights on. We've got to craft this legislation in a way that does raise the standard, but also positions people to add value that will create more revenue. That so while the employee is getting increased, the employer is receiving bang for that increased buck.
All right, there are a number of proposals out there to overhaul the tax code. How would you plan to address these issues of taxes? Angela, I'm going to start with you.
To overhaul the tax code.
Yeah.
Well, I think it would be a good idea to listen to people who have issues with tax codes. Take those into consideration, see what's working, what's not working, and then see how we can put what is working into effect and take what's not working out.
All right, to Marcus.
I've eaten some of the best food that this world has to offer. But at the end of the day, my favorite food is pancakes. The tax code is too complicated. Make it simple. I don't want to overtax the wealthy. I don't want to overtax the poor. What we need to do is determine a metric, a standard basis that all citizens are taxed on, and it's a universal equality. It's a universal moment, because one thing that we're seeing here is it's just like what's happening in D.C. Everyone wants to shift the burden. Everyone wants to shift the blame to someone else. Republicans shift to the Democrats shift to the Republicans. In the case of the wage piece, federal government doesn't want to educate the people so they can go out and earn and create jobs. So they say to business owners, you pay them more. So we can't keep passing the buck as we get there. Make it simple. Tax everybody the same.
All right, Angela, would you like a follow-up? All right. To Marcus, on the other side of that equation, there are a number of proposals to reduce the federal budget, and this also includes cutting and privatizing Social Security. What are your views on the federal budget and Social Security?
I've got a funding source for many of the things that our federal government has deficits in. Bring our troops home from the war in Afghanistan. We are the only first world nation that is heavily invested in Afghanistan the way we are. There are 10,000 troops in Afghanistan right now. Exactly the numbers, I think about 9,300 for those of you who are checking facts there. There are 9,300 troops in Afghanistan right now. We are spending more money in Afghanistan on rebuilding Afghanistan than we are defending it. The people we are helping fight in Afghanistan are fighting each other. And we're fully invested there. Don't tell me about cutting programming for seniors and children who don't have parents and can't afford education until you bring young men and women home from a war that is not ours to fight.
All right, Angela.
And the question was about budget issues.
On the other side of the tax equation, there are a number of proposals to reduce the federal budget, and this also includes cutting and privatizing Social Security. What are your views on the federal budget and Social Security?
I think we should leave Social Security alone. The money that was put into Social Security was supposed to help our elderly in their retirement. Just leave it alone.
Social Security is a bust. It doesn't work. There are things that are wrong with it. But one thing we cannot do, we cannot pull funds away from people who without it will not survive. This is Newnan. I'm from here. We are Christian folk. You can't say you love God and be willing to let people starve because you don't want them to have more of the federal budget than somebody else. That's not godly, and it's not nice either.
Angela. All right, this brings us to the end of this particular forum, and we're now going to allow closing statements up to 2 minutes each. And because we started with Tamarcus, we're going to let Angela go first.
I follow the Democratic platform, and I believe that private medical decisions should be made between a patient and a qualified physician who can perform safe and legal procedures. Moreover, insurance companies would have a safety net if Medicaid and Medicare expansion with federal funding were provided to our poor and elderly who stand to live a better quality of life through that expansion. I'm a concerned citizen, and I do have this courage to stand up for District 3 in Washington. I have the education needed to provide policy analysis, determine loopholes, and regard tactics of usurping Supreme Court decisions. I'm experienced in assisting the public through my years of work in the allied healthcare field. Simply put, I have a heart for helping people. As a representative in the United States House, it would be my honor to represent you in District 3.
Thank you, Angela. Tamarcus.
Again, thank you so much for your time tonight. Let me be very clear. I'm sitting on this stage tonight not because I wasn't doing anything else or because I need to. I pastor one of the largest African American churches in this district, and a church that is one of the largest churches in this community, one of the largest 25 churches in this community I pastor. I'm not here because I don't have anything else to do. I am here because I am tired of politicians manipulating us as voters and doing it in the name of God. They talk about issues and put God's name in it that they are not even concerned about. And God has placed me on this platform tonight because God wants you to do something special for him. He wants you to send me to DC so I can hold them accountable. He wants you to send me to DC so that when they stand up and quote scripture, the pastor can stand up and say, no, my friend, you're wrong. God is about love. God is about people eating. God is about people being able to provide for themselves without having to ask the government for a handout. There's some people that just want a hand up. He's asking you to send this handsome, I know it, this charming, this eloquent young man to Washington, D.C. to represent you as you have trained me to do. I serve on the Coweta County Board of Education's Community Advisory Committee. I serve on the Newnan Development Authority that is responsible for issuing bonds to stimulate this economy. I serve on the Newnan Youth Council Board to help our children get ready for moments like this. I've been working in the trenches alongside you for 4 years. Help me just a little bit more, please. Thank you.
All right, thank you to both of you. This ends the Coweta County Chamber of Commerce's Democratic primary forum for this evening. We want to thank you again for coming out tonight and facing the questions in a public setting. The Chamber appreciates your dedication to run for public office during this election season, and I think y'all all deserve a round of applause.